Tonight, Famous Monsters is all about nightmares as we take a walk down Elm Street. We talk with male scream queen Mark Patton. And we meet face-to-face with Super Freddy himself, Michael Bailey Smith. Plus, makeup artist Walter Welsh gives us a tutorial on the pretty ugly burn effect. All that and more on FMTV. Welcome to Famous Monsters TV. I'm Phil Kim. In 1984, Wes Craven wrote and directed A Nightmare on Elm Street, a supernatural slasher that became an instant hit. The story revolved around a group of teenagers being stalked and killed in their dreams. After grossing over $25 million, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise was born, and Freddy Krueger became one of the most iconic film maniacs to appear on screen. So it came as no surprise that 1 year later, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, was in theaters. We sat down and spoke with the very first male scream queen, Marc Patton, to talk about his time on Elm Street.
You son of a bitch! You killed him!
So when you auditioned for this film, did you know exactly what you were getting into, or was it just another movie audition for you?
It was just another audition to me. I think, in that month, I generally had maybe 5 auditions a day. So it was just another movie, you know. And of course, it was just a low-budget horror movie when I first auditioned for it and tested for it. And I was shooting within 3 weeks. So I think from signing the contract to being in front of the film, in front of camera, it was 2 weeks. I didn't realize that it was going to be a lifetime journey with Freddy. That's what it turned out to be. So, yeah. So I love it. I mean, I love the first one, I love the second one, I love the third one, especially. So, yeah, and it was great. You know, it was wonderful.
What were some of your bigger challenges on set with the special effects? I know people talk about the tongue a lot.
Yes, people often ask me what the difficult parts of the movie were. And the worst actually was the tongue. Kim and I are in the cabana, and we're gonna have our big make-out love scene, and we're gonna have sex, right? But all of a sudden, Freddy's gonna take over my body, and this big tongue's gonna roll out. It just looks so foul and so pornographic that it's like, you know, it's like literally, and I had this 12-inch tongue in my mouth for 12 hours. And I smoked at the time, so I couldn't have a cigarette or a drink of Coke, and people were throwing things at me. So I got a little cranky and bitchy on that one.
Speaking of special effects, it must have taken a really long time to get that full body cast of yourself made. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
My favorite scene in Nightmare on Elm Street actually is the killing of Grady in his bedroom. It's the transformation where Freddy cuts my stomach out, comes out in one shot, comes out, kills Grady, and then turns back into me. And it was all done with puppets. We had no CGI then. So everything was practical. And what they do is they bury you in basically plaster. And I had 2 straws for my nose. Now this was from head to toe. I think about a lot of those things. I've done so many stunts that are just insane. Like, people ask me what I thought about the snake, you know, and it's like, I had a boa constrictor around my neck, and they had 2 guys with guns to shoot it, you know, with darts in case it choked me to death. And I said to the handler, like, I'm like not very educated, right? So I'm like, how smart is this? Because I like feel really, you know, like we have a bond or something. I'm a kid. And he said, well, it's about 2% smarter than a blade of grass. You know, it's totally instinctive. So if you move the wrong way, it's going to choke you.
Do you have any particular set memories with Robert that you'd like to share with us?
People often ask me, well, how was it to meet Robert Englund? Do you know what I mean? Well, first of all, I knew Robert before. And the person who was really afraid to work with the other was, Robert was nervous to work with me because I was actually a bigger star than he was at the time. So, and Nightmare on Elm Street 2 says starring Mark Patton with Robert Englund. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 says starring Robert Englund with Heather Langenkamp. So, but that's the way show business goes. You know, I mean, it morphs in and out. And the primary scene between Robert and I that's most famous is the scene, you've got the body, I've got the brains. If you notice in all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and Robert says this in my documentary, right? Freddy is just vicious with girls. I mean, he's just hateful. I mean, like he's between Heather's legs with the claw, and I mean, just does these despicable things to women. And he adores me. And like in that scene, he's basically making love to me, right, on this set. It's very intense, and he's romancing me, you know? And at one point he said to me, because he's a real gentleman, he said, "Do you mind if I put the blade in your mouth?" And my makeup artist, who is always your favorite person on a set, his name was Danny, and I loved him, and he came running across going, "Makeup, makeup, makeup." "No, stop the camera." So he stops the camera and he whispers in my ear, "Don't you dare let him put that glove in your mouth. Don't you dare let him put that blade in your mouth. It'll look like you're giving him a blowjob." And so I said, "No, don't." And he didn't. He just went around my mouth like this. But he was going to go in and out.
So you ended up not being asked back for the third film. What was your response to that? Did you ever go back and decide what happened to your character?
Well, I've actually written a book, and it's called Jesse's Lost Journals. And I wrote this book because when I was new to the horror world and new to fans, you have to answer the same question over and over and over again, right? And you have to answer it diligently, right? Because it's the only time people are asking. Well, I started writing these status reports, and I thought if Jesse had a journal like Nancy had a diary, which of course she didn't, but I found it anyway, and I wrote a journal. And it is the subtext of me making the movie. And the first half goes all the way through the end of the film. And then the second half of the book becomes what happened to Jesse after he gets off that bus. And in mine, he moved to New York and he became an artist, and he met me. And we go to conventions together, me and Jesse, and then a lot of madness and tales. And it's published at, you can see it online. Actually, we sell copies of it, but you can see it online at staticmass.net, which is a European film journal. And they published it for me.
If they came to you and asked you to make a nightmare film, how would you do it?
I actually have a really good idea, because I think the franchise is worth $1 billion. Warner Brothers has bought it, and they're kind of letting it sit fallow. But I think they should do something like American Crime Story, like 10-story arcs with different people, with Freddy, but very dark. Like go back to the original. I don't like funny Freddy. You know, in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Robert's only in the movie 12 minutes. His presence is everywhere, but he's only actually on screen for 12 minutes. And it's this, his presence is very scary. So I'd like them to go back to sort of Dexter-ish kind of thing, but do 10-story arcs, you know, and like he could be different places, and you can call me, I'll direct it. I've got a really good eye and a very creative imagination, so yeah.
Well, there you have it.
There you go. I can do it for you. Just call me.
Stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to meet someone bigger, badder, scarier than Freddy Krueger himself. I'm talking about Super Freddy, played by actor Michael Bailey Smith. Oh, I was looking for this. Welcome back. The Nightmare on Elm Street franchise has given us 9 films, but one of the most memorable of its installments is A Nightmare on Elm Street #5, The Dream Child. And you ask why? Super Freddy. Here to talk with us is Michael Bailey Smith.
Now, when you booked the role on Nightmare on Elm Street, how familiar were you with the series?
When I was in the 82nd Airborne as a paratrooper, I went to and saw Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, the original.
That was my favorite series.
And it's crazy how I got to do #5, you know, and I got to play Freddy Krueger, you know, a bigger version of him.
Can you tell us a little bit about where it got started, that spontaneous audition that you ended up in?
I went with a friend of mine to an audition, just to go to the audition, because we were going to go to Venice Beach and train. And we were both into bodybuilding He finished auditioning. We were leaving, and the casting director asked me if I wanted to meet the director. And so I said, okay, walked in. It was an opportunity, right? Walked in, and he asked me if I could laugh like Freddy Krueger. Now, I could have been scared, said, nah, I don't want to do this. But I said, what the hell? And I just let out this big freaking hideous laugh, and he goes, that was awesome. Guess what? I want to hire you for the job. It was just phenomenal. And that's what really bit me to become, wow, I want to do this for a living. So after I did that Nightmare on Elm Street, I thought, oh, this is easy. And it wasn't. And not coming from an acting background, I had to learn how to become an actor, the process, everything about auditioning. I took classes every chance I could. I did 4 classes a week. Every night I spent hours doing scene study and improv and cold reading and audition techniques. And then it started clicking. I started doing better on auditions. And then I landed a movie called CIA Codename Alexa with O.J. Simpson and Lorenzo Lamas. The next thing I landed was Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas again.
I actually watched that show.
And so, yeah, so that guy, and I actually played, it was Jesse the Body Ventura was sitting next to me. We were the badass Butler brothers. And I was saying dialogue, like the cheesiest stuff, like, and I still to this day don't know how to say it the right way, but it's, I'm in the driver's seat, Jesse the Body sitting there, I go, you know, we go back there, we're gonna stir up some major badness. Really? Really, that's what we're saying? Major badness? Yeah, so, you know, and the next movie after that, I did a movie after that, and I auditioned for a movie called Fantastic Four, the original one from Roger Corman. That was shelved, and now it's become like this cult, you know, classic of
you were going to be The Thing, right?
Yeah, The Thing. So I played Ben Grimm, and that's how kind of my career started. So and just started doing more stuff, and I always studied. I always tried to get better.
That's great though, because you know you'll see plenty of people. They'll be presented with an opportunity and they kind of become complacent. But like you had your opportunity and then you worked at it and you dedicated yourself, and it paid off. Agreed.
That's how it's always been. You know, I remember, this is kind of cheesy, and don't even laugh at me if you want to, but I put on my bathroom mirror, Michael Bailey Smith, Hollywood's new leading man. You know, I'm 6'4", 270, 80 pounds. Not really probably going to happen. You know, I had hair and I was pretty back then, and so, but it gave me the motivation, and so that kind of changed from that to being, I wanted to be a working actor where I could make a living, and that's what I did from, you know, all through the 1990s to the 2000s and then 2010s. You know, I've made a really good living.
Now I've seen you've done quite a few of horror movies. Now, are you a horror movie fan yourself, or it's just opportunities that presented themselves?
Just opportunities that present themselves. You know, it's funny, my wife's a big horror fan, and I get a little scared watching those suckers, you know, I'm gonna tell you. Even though The Hills Have Eyes, when I went to the premiere, I know my parts, but I didn't know the rest of the film. I was like jumping into my seat. My wife's going, "Are you kidding me? You were in the film." So, strange thing about it comes in like a big, nice big circle. When I did The Hills of Eyes, and we did a premiere in Hollywood, after the premiere we had a party, and Wes Craven was there, and I come up to him and I said, "Wes, I have to tell you, this is my second Wes Craven film." And he goes, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, believe it or not, I was Super Freddy in Nightmare on Elm Street 5. And he goes, "Holy crap, that's so cool." So it's pretty nice. You know, and it's funny, I did the second one as well, Hills of Ice 2, different character. I played a character named Hades. They really liked what I did in the first one.
That's actually what I was going to ask you. I found that interesting that you came back and
it's a different character. Yeah, and so, and it's funny, there were some issues with the filming later on, and Wes ended up taking over the film. And especially when we came back to Los Angeles to do some pickups, and I got to be directed by Wes. And that was pretty remarkable, because, you know, you can tell when there's really great directors. There's some that'll like give you line readings and kind of just tell you exactly what to do. He will go to you and just say, "Think of this," and it clicks, and bam, you nail it. That's a really good director. He can just come up with those things, just try to pull it out of you. So that's kind of nice.
So instead of modeling for you, is trying to bring it out from inside.
Yeah, make it really resonate with you, and like, oh, okay, now I understand. You know, like that. So it's pretty cool.
Coming up, FM spotlights some of the hottest Freddy merchandise around. welcome back. For you Freddy fans, there are tons of merchandise out there. And for the enthusiasts, it's like a dream come true, or a nightmare come true. So, let us take you through the ultimate shopping guide on Nightmare on Elm Street. You want to talk about serious collectibles? Then Sideshow is the place to start with their premium format Freddy Krueger Collector Edition figure. This 4th scale figure comes complete with the trademark weathered striped sweater, signature hat, and of course, you can't forget the knife glove. This masterfully crafted statue stands on a detailed base depicting some of Freddy's favorite victims. From haunting the dreams of children to sitting on your mantle, this museum quality figure is a must-have.
Freddy Krueger's one of the most spectacular and horrific horror icons.
I mean, what's more horrifying to think that, like, you can't even be safe in your own dreams?
He is definitely a more animated villain. Cut your throat, you little piggy!
If that's not enough, then check out NECA's new line of horrific Freddy collectibles. Like this new 18-inch Freddy figure with the 30th anniversary of Dream Warriors. With interchangeable heads and chests so that you can relive your favorite parts of the movie. Check out this chest of souls. Crazy, man. And I bet you Mark Patton himself would love the 7-inch figure taken straight from his movie, Freddy's Revenge. Made with gruesome detail, this figure comes with plenty of accessories like interchangeable heads, 2 dogs, a glove, and you can't forget this fire effect taken right from the pool scene of the film. You may also want to check out these 2 in-depth documentaries. Never Sleep Again gives you a behind-the-scenes look at the entire Elm Street franchise. And then actress Heather Langenkamp's own film, I Am Nancy, a lighthearted look at what it was like playing Elm Street's favorite teen, Nancy Thompson, in 3 of the classic Nightmare films. Talk about shopping. We're here at Disguise the Limit in Santa Rosa. It's the most awesome costume shop. They have rentals and they have makeup, and we're here with the owner, Jenny.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
So my question is, why a costume shop?
Well, I already have a huge passion for costumes, and I'm also a costume designer.
Oh.
So when we found out that the business was possibly going to not be in business anymore after 30-some years.
Been here a long time, yeah.
My partner and I took it over. And also, I just love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday of the year.
So Halloween 24/7.
Yeah, it's the best.
It's nice. How awesome is your day-to-day job here at this great place?
It's so awesome. It's basically like a party every day. I have a daughter who's actually 4 years old, and she has tried on every costume here. Just watching her run around in every single costume we have is just a joy. And not to mention, you know, I make all my employees dress up in something every day for October, just for the hell of it. And everyone's all like, thank you, because everyone loves Halloween here.
What can people find here?
Oh, everything. We have wigs, we have makeup, masks, every costume you can think of, and the best quality. And we have every kind of accessory you can think of.
I'm going to ask you the thing that I probably shouldn't ask, but so what's a ghost situation like here?
We have them. We are haunted. However, they're really cool ghosts. They just like to mess around with us with noises and maybe occasionally breaking a mirror in the bathroom. But that was only in the beginning, just letting us know they're here.
Thank you so much. And coming up next, it's Walter Welsh's awesome burn makeup demonstration on Pretty Ugly. So, to transform into a movie maniac, actor Robert Englund had to endure hours of excruciating makeup, but the results, pretty unforgettable. You want to talk about some pretty nasty burn effects, you can check out Walter Welsh in this installment of Pretty Ugly.
Using warmed ready-made Maron gelatin, I use a mini spatula to apply it all over the side of the face. The more the gelatin dries, the more I can pull and stick, sculpting the gelatin how I want it. Once the gelatin is dry, I can now go in with single layers of tissue paper, placing them around the gelatin and over it in areas where the skin will be peeling up in a charred way. Always make sure there are no hard, straight edges to your tissue paper, as that will not look natural. I always pull apart the tissue to avoid this. Next, I mix coffee grounds with Prozade adhesive and stipple the mixture all over the tissue paper and gradually on the face. Once I see spots where things are dried, I can pick away at the layer of tissue, revealing gelatin underneath. With my FX alcohol palette, I go in spattering and painting in reds and browns with some blacks to really make the skin appear to be charred and severely burned. Once the tones are where I like them, for my final touch I add KY jelly all over the gelatin spots that are showing to make them shine and look gooey. Let's take a look at our creepy creation.
Walter Welsh is amazing. For more of his wizardry, you can check out future installments of Pretty Ugly. And that's all the time we have for tonight. But if you want more information on Famous Monsters conventions, our magazine, our comic books, please go to famousmonsters.com. See you next time.